It's the time to get down.
Troops on the ground and the folks working in Afghanistan.
This sort of thing, even though it is small, as you mentioned, for instance, no worldwide media really covered this Quran burning, such a small event. But in the Middle East and Arab countries in particular, this sort of thing has an echo effect. And like the Danish cartoons that were published several years ago and other incidents where we in the West don't think that it's going to have much effect, but it reverberates through populations who are already under great stress. And U.S. military commanders know that this sort of thing can happen. A few years ago, or last year, some top commanders were warning that Israel's actions in Palestine would actually directly affect U.S. troops and U.S. interests in the region. So we know that small effects like this can ripple and turn into tidal waves against our forces and our allies.
Talk a little bit about your personal experiences from your latest travels. What is the general perception by most Afghans of the United States and the forces?
It was really a mix, particularly the last time I was there. I was in the eastern part of the country and an area that the U.S. just decided recently to pull out of. While I was there, the perception of the Americans was it was a very mixed picture. Some people, I would say most people, just wanted everyone to leave them alone. They wanted to be left alone by the Americans, but also by the Taliban. It was really sort of a just let us do our own thing attitude. And it wasn't so much focused as an anti-American sentiment or as an anti-NATO sentiment, but just that the people were tired of fighting and they wanted to be able to get back to their lives.
Do you have the sense that perhaps our presence there is interfering with stability in that country?
Absolutely, it does. I mean, there's no questioning that. Where American troops and allied troops go, the Taliban will fight against them. If our troops aren't there, there will be less fighting. But that doesn't necessarily mean the conditions on the ground for the average Afghan
Once again, this is Russia
be
television.
any better. The Taliban can be incredibly violent, as we all know. So it's just sort of a question of which side does the least damage.
Right, but of course it's difficult when we're already stretched so thin in Iraq, now in Libya, and as we'll be talking about later in the show, in Yemen. Thank you so much for your time. That was journalist and writer Niall Sheen.
Once again, that's Russian television.
So I have a question.
Yes, baby.
So here we go in in the U.S., and we burn the Quran. We're trying to make a point, without thinking of how that's going to affect our troops on their grounds. So now, how does he feel about that?
Well, they asked him, and the reverend, pastor, said he didn't feel any responsibility because he blamed the people on the other end for their actions.
Blame the people on the other end.
He said, the people who are acting up and doing all the stuff. So, we're going to revisit this issue daily almost for a while. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the violence that rages in Yemen and whether or not the U.S. is focusing too much on Libya. While there's these other places, we're going to give you a little geography lesson again because you need to see a quick glimpse of all the places with unrest right now. You have a number of places.
Lot of them, yes.
And so, again, what was interesting about the piece we're bringing you foreign press. That was an English broadcast from Russia television. So you get to hear the perspectives of how some of the foreigners look at us. Interesting. Interesting, to say the least. Okay? So, again, tomorrow we're going to deal with that. Now, let's deal with the other general topics. How about this one, DeVoe? Did you hear about the plane that had to do the emergency landing? We have
Did people die?
No. People didn't die.
Wait a minute, you feel better now?
Yes.
Do you feel better? It's some great. Mario has some great stats.
Well, no, I'm just saying what happened is, first of all, for those of you who don't know, a plane, right shortly after takeoff, had a section of the roof of the plane, ceiling of the plane, sort of rip open.
Wow.
That's right. That's exposed dangerous. The people to that. Now, again, imagine this. Let me find, where is mine?
Thank God they were just taking off, and they weren't up.
Well, they had been up for, I think, about 18 minutes, 20 minutes or so.
Oh, that was kind of
So, okay, it was a Southwest flight. A 6-foot hole ripped in the top of the plane, just 5 rows from behind one of the passengers who was talking about this. And they had a huge loss of cabin pressure, and they had a quick descent. As Victor said, it was supposedly a very quick descent.
1 minute. I said 1 minute from 36,000 feet down to, I think, 11.
Oh, that
1
was like,
minute.
That was like those drops in those at Magic Mountain, free fall.
I think a little bit faster. just a wee bit faster. Go ahead, Mark.
Now that's we were trying to debate unless you have thrust, because we are talking about the rate of falling is independent of mass.
Yep.
So
In other words, when you are falling, and when you don't, assuming there's no other factors like wind, things that resist you, say there's none of that. That the rate of falling is a constant. It's related to the gravitational pull. It's independent of your weight.
Yes, sir.
In other words, the plane falls at the same speed as you would fall.
Yep.
Or a little object would fall. Now, if you had thrust, like if you have the plane going down and it's using its engines to project itself,
That's right.
then you can have something different. But anyway, we were trying to just. Well,
Wait a minute. I was
you
using
didn't know
the
that we
Mixing it
talk
up a
like this
little
in the
bit.
ghetto,
Yeah,
did
okay.
I
you? You
was,
didn't know we understood thrust. The square of the hair times the heat of the meat is equal to the angle of the dangle.
you know,
that just sums it right on up. We don't know what we're talking
Well, that's
about.
right.
I was,
Yeah, no, we
putting
just in the
I
ghetto.
was putting a different spin on it. I'm not trying to be negative. I just asked Mark, I said, Mark, it's amazing how the responses to the interviews, you know, like one of the guys behind, he says the seat directly in front of him was where the cabin, you know, ripped open. And how just, you know, casual it was. And he says, oh, yeah, you have a little smile. And then everybody else they were interviewing, it's like they picked ones that said, oh, yeah,
Vic
you know,
said they
I'm
seemed
late.
kind of calm, but
I'm
here,
late.
It says here they were scared out of their mind.
We're not scared out of them.
Somebody
Which report?
peed. Somebody peed right here.
Wait a minute,
He's
Mario.
lying.
No,
He's
wait a
lying.
minute.
Nobody
One
peed. I can
one
tell.
young lady just sat
Loss
there
of
and
bowel control.
said, okay, think about this. Okay, Duvall, use this analogy. All of a sudden, you're sitting there, 5-foot hole, rips, you see daylight sky and some UFOs. They interview you. The plane descends like 20,000 plus feet real fast, less than a minute. And the thing you told me says, you know what? Now I was going to be leaving at 3 or 4 o'clock. Now I'm delayed. My flight won't leave for another 4 hours.
That's because the people at the airport.
So they go into the next one.
That's
See,
right.
Because the person that was doing, they didn't want to talk to them.
Why not?
Okay? Because Southwest doesn't want to lose any ticket sales.
It's too late.
Okay.
Well, okay.
Any more ticket sales. So let's not interview the freaked out ones. Let's interview the calm ones. So no
Well,
one gets tripped.
I like the freaked out ones when they're like clothes. They have wardrobe accidents and all.
Okay, wait a minute. Mario, you got a good point.
What?
Wait a minute. He's got a good point
I
about
like
the
when
freak.
people just get freaked all out.
He's got a good freak. Now,
Got a good freak. Go ahead,
wait a
Victor.
minute. DeVoe, you're sitting next to Mario. Mario's sitting next to the window. The 5-foot hole, you guys on the plane, rips out. What is the first thing you guys do? Do you look at each other? Does Mario say, excuse me, climb over you and run? What happens?
Don't grab me down.
Dude,
You had your chance.
are you
You had
kidding
your
me?
chance.
What would you
All
lay
this
down?
weight, I'm grabbing
I
it.
said,
This
hell
is
no.
like a-
I've used the phone to plug the hole.
Oh, that's terrible. You think that way.
What happened to the flotation device? What? Come on now.
I'm sitting on it. I'm not getting up to get it. Sorry.
Okay, but really, what would you think you would do? I mean, I
I
know.
would just hold on to my seat.
I mean, you know what? I've been where, you know, they have turbulence and that's nothing compared to what these guys. And in the turbulence,
Right.
I have freaked out. I have grabbed this little old frail lady. She was 90 years old. And I grabbed her arm by mistake.
She fight you off.
Okay, she was like, oh dear. I'm like, she should be grabbing me. So I know what I would have done. I would have grabbed whoever's sitting next to me.
Would you have bowel control?
I would have definitely vowed because my butt cheeks would have went.
Say that again.
That's good to remember. Now that's the key. If you ever, anyone who ever dates her in the future, if you want to get that wink, you gotta
Drop me from the
you
ceiling.
gotta drop her from. That's right. Got tired to the ceiling. Yeah, that's a long time.
Wow, that was deep.
Well,
okay,
look at
so
some of this. Is this some of the
this
whole?
was going where? From where? Don't tell me LAX.
Well, it's,
No, Southwest. It was where they were. Well, you would ask that. Where from where?
Where are they leaving from?
well, hey,
I thought it
And
was.
why did they not know that they had a weak?
they did. No, they've already checked on this. It's cracks. You know, they investigated the cracks.
Not
It's
a
still-
crack. It's
They
like-
haven't been able to determine how it happened, but they can say this: there were the cracks. the metal
it's some
cracking.
crack. Crack
So-
is the evil thing of everything. It's always
Now people are gonna ask, are there any cracks on this plane?
But they can't. They say they can't. Even in the maintenance check, they said they wouldn't have seen it. So here's my question to you, DeVoe. Southwest.
Southwest, you are in big trouble, baby.
But wonder if you get some free tickets to go to the Caribbean.
I'm not going nowhere on your plane. You got crack planes.
All right, let me see if I can show you.
Wait
You
a
know
minute.
what?
DeVoe.
And I'm telling you, no, DeVoe, nothing. Okay? You need to be checking your planes. Crack.
How?
They say you can't check for crack.
How can you check your
hold
It's
plane?
like it's like making sure your girlfriend's a virgin.
You can't.
You can't tell. Wouldn't even know what to look for.
That's ridiculous.
You wouldn't know.
You know what? It's not every day the top of a roof from a plane.
All right,
you.
let me just tell you what they
rips
said.
off. It really isn't. I mean, unless they're not telling us.
Right.
In which that could be
It was
true,
flying
too.
from Phoenix because DeVoe, all this means something to DeVoe. Like what damn difference does it
Where
make
is
where
it
they're flying
going?
to?
Phoenix, okay, Phoenix
Phoenix
is really
to
hot.
Sacramento. It was going from Phoenix to Sacramento and was forced to make an emergency landing in Yuma, Arizona.
Thank you for sharing.
For who gives a
I do.
Well, that's because you eat those greens.
I just want to know.
Keeps you regular.
Hush. So Phoenix, you guys weren't walking on top of that plane checking for cracks, obviously.
Nobody was checking for cracks. Now everybody's gonna be checking for cracks.
Better check for cracks.
There's okay. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, here's some pictures. Okay, here's some pictures. This is all. We got to give credit to Mashable.
Dang, somebody was
Look at
taking
that.
pictures while the hole
Yeah, look
was...
at that hole. Look at that. This is the mask that came down.
Wow.
That's a gap.
Well,
Look
they
at-
don't
look
look
at that
like
gap in the
nobody's
ceiling.
panicking. Oh, this is already done. This is
That's the
plane
hole
one.
in the plane.
Oh my God. Yeah.
6-foot hole.
If I would have saw that, I would have freaked out. But you know what? If they were up higher, like
See, people.
the stewardess could have been sucked up out because
Well-
they're the ones walking around, right? 18 minutes, they
You
would have been
wonder.
up and walking around by 18 minutes.
Now let me tell you.
Ready to start serving.
You're surprised how this stuff is made. I've been on a commuter plane where it felt like I was in something more shaky than like somebody's little Volkswagen.
Me too.
And I was scared. And plus, I went to the Smithsonian. They have a cutaway of one of the Apollo missions,
Right.
the one that went to the moon, where the three people sit next to each other. Yeah. And I looked at the control panel. I said, "Oh hell no!"
Didn't look like it was very intense, huh? A knob.
You guys,
One
that's
button.
why I say you're heroes. Some people are heroes. I looked at some of them. See, what my point being, some of this stuff is not as sophisticated. You get in there and say, well, wait a minute, what's running this plane?
No.
Oh, Vista, Windows Vista.
That's wrong.
Oh, I even know that's scary.
That's cold. Blast windows.
Oh, man. All right. So but nobody died.
That's
Okay,
good.
well that's good.
So that's
news.
the good news.
Yeah.
All right, now here, how about this one? Charlie Sheen had the launch of his show. You know, Charlie Sheen.
He's different. Charlie.
Well,
I'll
let's
do your
see.
show, Charlie. Give me a call. I'll
Where's
come on
that
your
Charlie Sheen mashup?
Well,
Maybe I can show that. But Charlie, you
show. Has
guys.
Charlie been doing the
Well, he
t-shirt
started.
commercials?
He started these live shows, and he did the first show in Detroit, and bombed, and people really got pissed.
Why?
Well,
Charlie, come
see,
on.
Mario has to set it up for you. He
Okay.
wants you to find,
First, I'm gonna do a Charlie.
Right.
Play this Charlie Sheen mashup.
and then he'll come back to it.
Oh, that's why he bombed.
Winning, anyone?